Hi, it's Jessica Sporn here. I want to show you how I created these pretty flowers using my peonies and leaf stencil from Stencil Girl products with acrylic inks. And then I'll show you how I used those flowers in an art journal page I created for Creative Jumpstart 2016. So I started with a journal that I made out of jelly plate prints. I adhered a photo of myself from high school, and then I'm just tracing the photo on a piece of deli paper so that when I stencil on the page, I don't get stencil on my face. And I could have stenciled before adhering the face, but I didn't, so this is a nice way to protect the face. And actually I end up using that piece of deli paper in another art journal page. So here's the peonies and leaves stencil, and I'm just dabbing foliage all around. I'm going to take a brush and create some splatters, and now I want to create the flowers. So I'm laying my stencil down on top of watercolor paper, and then I'm going to use a Sharpie, a black Sharpie, to loosely trace these flowers in the openings. And I'm not being precise at all. I'm just being very loose, trying to give myself an idea of the shape of all of these petals. And then I got myself some clean water, shocking I know, and you'll see what I'm doing is I'm painting one of the petals with water. Once I do that, I'm going to drop my acrylic ink into this water, and it will spread through the water, but it will not spread onto the dry areas of the paper. So I'm going to paint wet on dry. I'm not wetting the entire flower, I'm just wetting the petal that I want to use, and then when I drop the paint on, I can just have it be on that petal itself. And the acrylic ink will spread just like watercolor will. Here you can see I did not use water first, so see the difference, how it's a much drier look. The acrylic ink will act just like watercolor paint. However, once it dries, it will be permanent. And because I'm going to adhere these flowers onto my art journal page, and I'm going to use matte medium, I want them to be color fast. Look what happens when I add that ink. It just spreads through the water, but it does not spread onto the other petals. And this is a great way to use your acrylics like watercolors. Just remember though that you won't be able to reactivate them. Once they dry, they will be permanent. As I go on, my water gets a little pink, and that's okay. It just creates a slightly different color with the petal. And look here, rather than paint all the way down or bring the acrylic ink all the way down, I'm just letting it drip down, knowing that it won't drip past the wet area. And I just love this technique. It's like, oh, look how delicious that is. And while other areas are wet, you can keep dropping bits of ink into other wet areas and adjusting or tinting the colors as you like. Every time I do it, I feel like it's so magical and so beautiful, and you don't know exactly what's going to happen, which is part of the magic. You can mix your colors right in the wet media. Look how rich that is. And it gives a much more naturalistic look, and you don't even have to worry too much about the exactness of the shading, because the flow of the ink in the water, just like the flow of watercolor in water, already gives you different values and different depth. Now I'm going to add some yellow and then a little bit of quinacridone nickel azo gold into the centers. And once that dries, I'm just loosely dabbing in some white dots and letting those overlap onto the petals. I cut them out, and then I'm adjusting the color of my high school face. And I realized I forgot to trace and paint some of the leaves, so I did that. And now you can see I just glued them around myself, my head, like a big headdress. And I just love the painterly, free and loose look that I got with the stencil, lightly tracing it and using the inks like watercolors. Thanks for watching. I hope this video gave you some good ideas, and I hope that you will share it and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.